Welcome to Comic Book Business News. It is I, Josh Goldstein. Here in the news, here on um, August 27th, 2023. Here in the news. Um, in the news today, another year and a half in the Ukrainian war is still here. And the Ukrainians are struggling under Eastern offensive against the Russian forces. It's kind of hard to see that as a person of Eastern European descent, two countries where I could say ancestors came from are at each other's throats. Like, I know this history of the Ukraine. I know before 1991 it was part of the Soviet Union, and before that, the Russian Empire. So Ukraine until 1917 briefly, and then after that, 1991 was a part of Russia. So it's hard to see Ukrainians and Russians fight. Sad. I hope the Ukrainians drive the Russians out. But in any peace deal, Crimea will have to stay part of Russia because of Russian military interests there. Unless the Russians totally crumble, then that'd be a military miracle, and perhaps a lot like Israel's struggles over the years. This is the second war the Ukrainians have fought against Russia. Perhaps historians will call this the Second Ukrainian War or the Second Russo-Ukrainian War, but it's an important war, and it's important to debate things like that. I more think that's important, whether personally people like me or people hate one of my books or hate me mentioning how my book was nominated for an award. A book of mine was nominated for an award for online book club book of the year, and I hate the fact some little itsy bitsy guy just said I had to my mention of it went against community standards. But then again, hey, even Trump had problems, but maybe he was a little more guilty than me. But I don't have to be the big villain in your lives. Oh, I know it wasn't Joy Discarded. It was other people, but perhaps the Republicans will stay clear of me. I'm just a comic book artist after all. We're a sci-fi author. Oh, if you're afraid or be Big Josh and beating you up, Joe, maybe you should stop trying to poop your pants and be the most flamboyant person ever. And I know there's two other people laughing. Maybe Joe, you're gay. And maybe I will always publish books. So you can't threaten me and you can't threaten how I'm a sci-fi author or a comic book artist. So fuck you, fucker. Okay. Enough about old wooden Indians. Why is there always a problem? Oh, I can't talk about that. Always a wooden Indian causing problems used to, you know, in Philadelphia we have such a fabled sports history. My we used to all hate this guy who was the old guy who used to remember his A's. I know well we can't just have a Democratic Party permanently in office, but I'm kind of thinking, oh, I'm not going to go further, but wouldn't it be great to have an FDR type guy again? And if anybody wants to blame the Jews about the problems, I'm so educated in my history of my people. I know anybody could tell you who's Jewish. They always try and do that. And a certain group of Jews don't have to be the little itsy bitsy Jews and cause problem with the American Jews. So but then again, they're not the nice. I understand that you're a troubled man and don't like me, and I understand you don't like me, and I'm even another school of stuff. But you're really kind of a loser, and you might get you might get a little. You're just a chump. You're a chump, and it's too bad things can't work out. But because you're a chump, I hope you enjoyed me firing you yesterday. I could always fire your brother and your bad version of one of my friends, but I don't want to fire her. I let her keep her job. And since we're all stopped, and since maybe the show could really start right now. Maybe the show could really start right now. And perhaps please subscribe. If you like, I don't have a bell or anything set up yet, but perhaps our we do things again on Patreon. That's how I like to do. Or when my site gets a few more subscribers, it's doing well view wise. So I'm not the stupidest person anymore. So please subscribe, and help keep comic book business news on. Okay. And perhaps next time I will have my book here and you can see the book that did get nominated for Omnine Book Award of the Year for 2023. And our friend Yosh is going to nominate me for another award next month. So can't keep a good guy down. So I kind of was reading I kind of read Silent Bob Speaks completely. It's a fantastic book. I know it's Kevin Smith's first of his series of written Bob diaries that he published and reflections. I like the way Bob writes. It's witty. I think that Silent Bob, Kevin Smith is like the greatest guy. Nah, he's not the greatest guy, but I think he's so cool, and his books are nice. And I you know like I was a good thing for me to buy that book. I'm reading the other book of his I bought, the Kevin Smith going completely crazy. Not tough shit. I read tough shit already. I have the hardcover for that. So I like those two books. I was really I like the book, but I was really irritated that about something yesterday. I'll get back to the book later, and I read maybe I read quick stops. Quick stop. I also, but I I think that he's a great director. I may even look at his other movies like Jersey Girl or on some of the other ones like Red State or Tusk. I know I saw Tusk in the movie theater. It was a horrendously bad movie. It was like Silent Bob as a monster, but and a horror movie starring those guys. I thought it was kind of funny to have Walrus monster killing people turning into walruses. I maybe that was partially based on his fears of being fat, or he's not the proudest. His issues over he's not the proudest over his looks. I think Kevin Smith lost a lot of weight. He doesn't have to worry. So he doesn't have to worry about his appearance. So I actually know he came on Howard one time. I think he's a cool. Um, I'd like to see him do more talk shows, but that's enough. Me, and that's enough of my praise of him for well. Uh, I know I'm not supposed to be so. Oh, I'm all over, because but I could like a movie or something. I know I have my that screenplay for one of my books coming up. Um, yeah. So I'll be glad to be proud of it. And if anybody wants to go against me in community standards, there is Twitter after all, and it's harder for you guys to go against me there. So I post my little posting and post my posting about any future awards or about the screenplay, because you could only do this in August, people. Yeah, don't be the cartoon Republicans. Like, so anyway, I am um I heard there's a new Atari. There's an Atari VCS 800 was a very good system. I have a copy of it. I play video games there sometimes. And I skipped the game station because, dude, I had a VCS. Because download games. Who wants game station? It's like they're putting don't put too much stuff out. They're no lesson from Sega and other people. Almost just make your money. If I think they were almost with that one planning a system in between big systems. You have the download system for download people, the game station as a fancy packing station, and then but it's like really good for people who don't want to spend all that money on a Steam type thing or a thing with an Xbox Live type capability, and then uh, uh and then and then you actually but then I think we bringing back. I really was excited though about a more and I'm bringing back the old Atari system with the HTML switch, because I always thought, see, my A long time ago, my parents had bought me an Atari 2600 Junior, and I was thinking, cool, now I have some old video games. But because that was before I got my Sega, and then the bad thing that was in between certain things, and then the bad thing was there's no HTML cable, so I can't just play around that way. See, I was never going to get the Nintendo system. I hate Nintendo. There's a guy named Josh Goldstein who's me, who hates Nintendo, so I never gonna play that Eddie stuff. So I couldn't play the Atari. My parents were cool and bought me the Sega. So the Sega's cool. I love Sega. So now there's this thing where Atari, the new Atari, has an HTML output. So, like Sega Genesis and like every system since, you could just plug it in. Although Nintendo, people will say, well, Nintendo was the first one to do that. Master System was the first one. Nobody cares. Sega invented it. So Atari more like Sega and more like the more modern systems is good. They may have gone a step first and make it a little bit like the VCS, but I think they're just stick to the HTML. Maybe they have an option. It's because why have a this is almost entirely like the old rabbit ears Ataris, but this time around I can play it. It's kind of cool. It's the old Ataris will become like antiques. These will be the new ones. Only Atari idealists will play them. It's nice to actually be able to have knowledge if you're a guy like a certain guy, Mr. Hancock. But I think it's see people like that like the thing of old TVs, old stuff. They're like the vinyl guys. It's good to make new, updated versions. You always got to update a classic. Like I'm watching Picard recently, and 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 like the new Enterprise Picard, the Enterprise G, which I think is at the end of Picard or something, is sort of um is sort of like a lot of like a Star Trek aficionados are telling me it's a Constitution 3. So it's an updated Connie class ship. So that's me, the Star Trek guy. I don't like to often talk of Star Trek because I'm the author of Zane Endless War. See, I don't want anybody from Star Trek accusing me I'm ripping you off, or I hate the people who tell me my book is about a ship. There's a ship on the cover, it is window dressing. So that was today we had some points. I'm not going to go over everything in the universe. I am this so this is your friend Josh Goldstein saying goodbye and good luck until next time.